Welcome to Flying High, an 8-week vlog journaling my life as a ticketing and gate agent. One of the ways I afford to travel with a family of 4 is by working for an airline. So I thought it would be fun to bring you guys along on my ride home and share about my day. So don't be shy. If you already work for an airline, introduce yourself and say hi. If you might want to work for an airline, go ahead, hit me up with those questions. And if you're just a passenger and you just want to know more, you're in the right place. I'll answer those questions too. Welcome to week 5 of Flying High. I cannot believe it's week 5 already. The summer is going by so fast, but I hope you're having a great summer. I just got my new bid and am happy to say I think I worked my last run last week, which RON stands for Remain Overnight. Those are the planes that stay overnight. And so that shift is just a little bit different. Mostly you just clean the planes after everybody gets off. And it's really not my favorite shift. So I'm excited that I don't have any more of those. I do have 3 early mornings in a row, so that will be exhausting. But I actually like the work on the morning shifts. I love it, actually. It's nice because those planes are already there, so we don't have to turn them, which means we don't have to go and get everybody off because they got off the night before. So it just allows a lot more time to answer customers, passengers' questions, make sure they have everything they need instead of being gone to get everybody off and then starting the boarding process, and then everybody comes up with questions that you don't really have time to address properly. So morning shifts are a lot of fun. And I wanted to mention, if you were thinking of working for an airline, how the bidding works. It's raining here, so I'm sorry if you hear that in the background. But for our bidding, basically, you don't know your schedule. It's not consistent, so you might have it for a month or 2, and then it switches again. And every time the new bid comes out, basically it's based on seniority. So right now I'm middle of the pack. So let's just say I'm 15 out of 30. Then I will get a line. Well, I'll get I don't know. It's not an Excel spreadsheet, but it's something that lists every option for days you would work that week and the times. And so I have to go through all 30 of them, figure out which 15 I like the best, and then I have to put those 15 in preferential order and submit them. And then on the bid day, when it comes out, they choose my top preference based on what everybody above me chose. So it always includes one weekend day, either a Saturday or Sunday, and then holidays fall as they will, because obviously we have to be at the airport on those as well. So it's a little tricky if you're a scheduler and a planner, because you don't really know from month to month what your schedule is going to look like, unless you are the top person, Laura. Laura gets to know what her schedule looks like because she is number 1, and whatever she picks, she gets. So lucky her, but she's put her time in for that. So that is kind of how bidding works. I wanted to talk about connection carriers because that's actually what I work for. If you are wanting to work for an airline, you may be able to work for a mainline, or you may be working for a connection carrier if you live in a smaller city. So connection carriers, you'll notice on your boarding pass or when you book a ticket, it might say it's a Delta flight number, but then underneath it will say operated by, and that's your connection carrier. So connection carriers are GoJet, Compass, Endeavor, SkyWest, Horizon. I think there's about 5 or 6 more of them. And then you have your main flyers that you've probably heard of, like Delta, United, Alaska, American. So there are benefits and pitfalls to working for a connection carrier. So let's talk about the negatives first, and then we'll get to the positives. Negatives, you make less money per hour, about $6 to $8 less when you start, and I don't know when it goes up from there. But if what you make per hour is important, then that's a really big difference. The other thing is when you're flying, standby, it's based on seniority, but it's also based on the carrier that you work for. So even though I work on Delta and United aircraft, I'm not a Delta or United employee. So if I'm flying and it's a mainline aircraft operated by Delta or United employees, they all go before me. The retirees go before me. And then it starts, even if they were hired yesterday, they go before me if I've got 10 years of seniority, it doesn't matter. So that's a little bit of a bummer. Now it's the same in reverse. So if it's the connection carriers operating that aircraft, then we would beat out those mainline employees. It's just that there are far fewer of those. So once you get to a hub and you're flying international or anything of that sort, it's going to be a mainline and you're going to be down on the list. But we've flown plenty of international places and we've gotten on, and so it's really not the end of the world. And then the third kind of bummer about it all is that you really don't get the same kind of respect from those mainline employees. Some of them do, but some of them kind of snub their nose up at you a little bit, like, oh, you're a connection carrier. And you don't get the rewards that they get. I think a few years back, Delta had that big computer outage, and they gave all of their employees a really nice gift. And because they had to deal with it and work odd hours and long hours and everything, and we had to do the same, but we didn't get any lovely gifts from Delta. So those are a few of the things. You don't quite get the same treatment as a connection carrier. But let's talk about the positives. Now, positives are, I am part-time seasonal, and I don't think that's very common even with connection carriers, but I really don't think it's common on a mainline. If you work for a mainline and you know better, let me know. But I really love that. I can be part-time and seasonal and have a couple months off here and there to go and travel, and that's wonderful. Another great thing about working for a connection carrier is we actually operate 2 airlines, and I don't know how common that is either. I know it didn't used to be at all. Maybe it's becoming more common, but that means I get to fly on both of those airlines, which is really great because we've been stuck before and switched to the other airline and gotten home several times from an international destination. So that is nice. When you work for mainline, obviously you're just working for the one airline and you don't have that flexibility. And then another great thing about working for a connection carrier is obviously you don't have to move. I can't live where we live, which we chose this destination 4 years ago specifically because we loved it and moved across the country here, and I can't work for a mainline here. So if you love where you live and that's important to you, then you'll have to be with a connection carrier. The other thing is I love working for a smaller airport. The commute time is simple. I don't have to go through a bunch of stuff to get to park and get into work and all of that, so that is really nice. And one other thing I forgot to mention about connection carriers is if you're wanting to work for an airline and you're having a tough time getting hired because you don't have any previous experience, then a connection carrier is a great way to get that experience on your resume and then get in with one of the mainline carriers. So another great thing about connection. Also, I think DGS, which is Delta Global Systems something, is another way to get into Delta mainline starting there. So if you're thinking about that, those are the differences, and if you have any more questions, just ask them below, and I will see you guys next week.